Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. This is Ken Lippy at MCOE, and I am happy to welcome you to this call. It's a little past 10, or just about 10, so I think we can begin. And I know many of you have participated in calls like this. Over the last several weeks, we've had some technical assistance calls related to the site plans that are being developed, and that's the purpose of this call this morning. I guess we're almost like 2 weeks into public health's careful review of school site plans. And so there's some things that have been learned along the way, and they've been giving us great feedback and working with schools that have submitted their plans already. And in an email yesterday, which obviously you've received to get this link, I sort of tried to share what we're hearing from public health and what we'll be stressing in this workshop today and a few others that we'll be doing over the next few weeks. But I think what the name implies, we should take very seriously, and that these are site-specific plans. Public health really does want to see that thought was put into the unique, how we would implement our 30 guidelines given the unique characteristics of each of our school campuses. So there's no such thing as a plan that is one size fits all, because every school is different, every campus is different. And so in our email yesterday, we gave a few examples of things that we have heard back from public health. We know that the good news is that they are carefully reviewing them so that when those plans are approved, we can know that we've taken every step possible to keep our campuses as safe and secure as we can as we begin to phase back into in-person instruction. So today we'll do a Q&A on the work you may be doing with your plans. Melina Boyd, who is our lead in working with public health on our school site plans, is on the call and will actually be facilitating the questions, and I'll be pitching in as best I can. Mike Grant, I think, will be joining us as well. But Melina, maybe you could just start with the template overview in a broad sense, and then whatever items you think are important to cover, and then we can go to questions. But thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my screen here really quick, and I'm going to show you guys the template. Let's see, here you go. So it's really important to note that we did update the template on August 12th with the announcement of the waiver applications. So at first there were a lot of boxes that had to detail cleaning and training and items like that. But in careful review, what Dr. Willis and Mary Jane Burke decided was a good way to go about this was actually to look at the 30-point plan and talk about each individual guideline and how you're going to implement those guidelines for your specific school site. So this is just kind of an overview of what you'll be doing on this template. And you can see at the very top here, it has SSSPP for school site specific plan at marinschools.org, and that's where you're going to actually submit your completed SSSPP for review for public health. So basically what we do is we do a once over, we make sure all the information is there, make sure task force information is there, contact information for liaisons, talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Make sure all of that stuff is there before we forward along to public health, and their team reviews it, and then it goes to Dr. Willis and he does a final review. So they're really looking at this extremely closely and really trying to nail down that you are looking at each guideline and making sure that it makes sense for your specific site. And as you know, from site to site, even within districts, it can be very, very different. So I'll go down here to the contact page. This is the first page here. And of course, you're putting in your school name, what type of school you are, your task force members. We really want to make sure that the task force members are interdisciplinary. So we want to make sure that there's somebody from custodial, and there's a parent, and there's a teacher, and administration, and anybody that you can think of that might be involved in your in-person instruction and being on campus and needs to know about those health and safety protocols, any kind of input from those different departments is really, really important. And public health does want to see that you have a member from each of those areas. The next one's the public health liaisons. We want your contact information here, but please keep in mind that this particular site, once it's approved, is going to be posted on our website so that everybody can see it. So go ahead and put your office numbers on this one, but you're going to use the link for the liaison registration. You're going to use your cell phone numbers on that, so we have that internally. And then of course you're going to put your administrator name here, and the signature is extremely important. We have had to send a couple back just because we didn't have those signatures. In box number 1, you're going to want to talk about your task force. You're not just going to list your task force, you're going to talk about when you're meeting and when you're looking over all of these COVID-related health and safety protocols. And again, it just goes through each of the 30 guidelines. I'm going to go down right here to number 8, which is an extremely important one, which is testing. Public health is really looking not just that, yes, we are going to kind of do what the county is suggesting that we do. They want to know when your testing is going to be held. And you need to think about getting that testing done before the beginning of in-person instruction. So setting testing up in November for your first round is not really going to help. They really want to see that you're thinking about getting that done as soon as possible. Again, this is just the rest of the boxes. I do want to talk a moment about functionality of the boxes. In the Word document, you can adjust the boxes to make it larger. If you maybe are on a team that isn't as tech savvy, what you can do is always put in, like, let's say for number 11, you can say see attached, and you can put the entirety of your content if it doesn't fit in this small of a box, which in a way it's better if you do have to attach something, because it means that you have a lot of really great content and you've thought out each individual guideline. And then I'm just going to scroll all the way down here to the bottom where we have the certification page. And again, we have a little note here again about attaching the additional information to the back. This is the certificate of completion. So instead of posting your 10 to 15 page plan on your window in your office, what you can actually do is print this out, put your logo here, school name, and where the entirety of the plan can be found. You can either put your website here, and additionally, you can also put the Rethinking Schools website, where we're going to be posting all of the SSSPPs. So that's kind of the functionality of the plan. I can't stress enough that public health is looking at these with a fine-tooth comb. If you are thinking about this on a district level, it's great to include any kind of district protocols, but again, each individual box is going to need to address what you're doing on that individual site. So I'm going to go ahead and stop share. Actually, really quickly, I'm going to show you. This is the Rethinking Schools website. And if you go to the Back to School drop-down menu, down here, we've got SSSPPs by site. And this is where we're going to be posting them. So these are all MCOE's programs, special ed programs that have been reviewed by public health. And you can see the link is live here so that you can actually go in by district and by school and see who has completed them, who has not yet submitted them. And you can check on your district as well for that information. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that we can actually take a couple of questions. If you guys want to, you can either unmute yourself or you can put it into the chat box.
Anybody? Yes, Michael.
Hi, thank you, Michael Briar from Oak Hill School. I didn't see on that list of approved SSPPs anything other than public schools. I didn't see any private or non-public schools on that list. Is there another list for that?
All of the public school or all the private and independent parochial schools are at the very bottom. So it goes by district, and then here I can actually show you guys really quickly. So if you scroll down, this is the MCOE special ed programs, then it's alphabetical by public school district. And then all the way at the bottom here, we have all the private schools down here.
Oh, great.
So
okay.
I believe, I think I sent yours off to public health yesterday.
Oh, we're under review,
Are you?
right? Yeah.
Yes, under public health review
Okay.
right there. Yeah.
Right. And then will we be notified by public health or by MCOE if it's if we have to improve anything or add anything?
Well, I'll let you guys know just the full process or procedures right now. So once you have completed your SSSPP, you will email it to that Marin School's email address. We look at it for completeness. And then once we deem it complete, we send it off to public health. They have a team, an entire team of nurses that are working specifically on schools. And they do the first review of it. And once they deem it appropriate, then they send it to Dr. Willis. When Dr. Willis gives it the okay, you will receive an email from the nurses with a letter saying suggested either recommendations for improvement or things that you actually have to change and update and then send back your SSSPP.
Thank you.
Melina, there's a question in chat. What is the legality of requiring that staff, faculty take the COVID-19 test regularly?
At this time, you can't make anybody take it, but you do have to have it set up so that the possibility is there. Like I said, it's not mandatory, but it's highly, highly recommended. And that's the message that you can send to your staff and teachers.
Other questions? Are students required to have both their mask on outside while playing and stay 6 feet apart?
Yes, it is recommended. But we do say that, if you can be outside and playing and more than 6 feet apart, we do talk about things like mask breaks where you have like an extended amount of space in between the kids where they can really kind of take it off and breathe a little bit so that they get a little bit of break from the masks. But they do have to wear their masks outside and be, not, if they're playing on a playground together within like 4 feet, they definitely have to have those masks on.
Michael.
Hi, sorry, another question. We're a school, special needs school. All of our kids are special needs, autism, and a significant portion of our students either cannot or will not wear masks. And these are not young kids. These are teenagers up to young adults. And as you can imagine, I have some very nervous staff working with that population. Can we require the students wear masks in order to come back to school?
Michael, I'm going to speak from our experience in operating special ed classes where some of our students are not able to wear masks or where it's really challenging. And yes, you can require it or maybe require that they use distance learning. But what we're doing and what we've been assured is a good practice by public health is that as long as all of the other protocols are in place and our teachers are masked and the rooms are properly ventilated and there's distancing in the rooms, that there are going to be times when they acknowledge that some students are not going to be able to keep masks on. But Janelle, could you add more to that, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to. There are some other resources out there. The California School Nurses and National School Nurses Organization have put out some recommendations for staff working with students who have medical or behavioral contraindications, especially the National School Nurses. That's some very specific guidelines on steps that staff can do in working with students who do present those challenges. So I'd recommend looking at those areas. And then we have been looking at it as a skill that we are teaching our students, in particular those who have behavioral contraindications, high sensory needs, that wearing the mask could be a real challenge. And so looking at it as any skill that we are teaching for students' self-help skills.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Melina, here's a cohort question. In a preschool, are there 2 to 3 teachers allowed per cohort?
It depends on how many kids are in the cohort. So there's another question here that says, is 14 to 2 the right ratio? And yeah, it's a total of 16 in the classroom. So if you have 8 kiddos, then yeah, you can definitely have 2 to 3 kids or teachers in there.
And then does the SSSPP need to be in place for bringing a student or small groups of students onto campus for assessment?
I mean,
recommend yes, correct?
yeah. If it's not all the way in, like it should be at least planned out and, you know, you're thinking about all of those protocols. You know, for example, yes. Yeah, it should be in place, if not ready to submit, for sure.
Anything else? Okay, unless I've missed anybody, I think we're good for now. We will continue to provide this opportunity. I don't know that we're going to have them as regularly scheduled as we did. You also know that you can go to, actually, I guess I see a couple more questions. Whitney, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Just to can you clarify for me what the cohort for middle and high school size is? I just want to verify.
Yeah, Melina, you want to take that?
Yes. What I'm actually going to do is bring up the 30
Yeah,
guidelines.
it'd be great if you could pull it up.
Okay, so it is still aligned with the 30 guidelines.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. That's all I needed to know.
Okay, got it. And then if a cohort can share outdoor playground equipment, can a cohort share classroom materials while in an outdoor classroom?
Materials should be individual to the kiddo. So, you know, if you have, you know, a class of second graders, it's good for them to have their own toys and manipulatives that they can have for themselves. If you are going to be sharing, you do want to clean them in between the sharing of any kind of toys or any kind of materials. But it really makes sense to have like maybe a little plastic bin or something like that. So each kid has their own and they know that it's theirs and they can put it back in the bin and then there's no sharing involved.
Another question, what if adherence to guideline 15 regarding separate entrances and exits causes additional safety concerns, bike safety, more congregating on sidewalks and at traffic lights? So this looks to be a concern that's pretty singular maybe to a campus. And Amy, why don't we have you connect with Rapid Response directly about that? And we could kind of talk that through a little bit with you. We know we would not want to put a protocol in place for COVID that then creates a dangerous situation for students in another way, especially related to safety issues. So I think we could probably advise you and provide maybe more guidance if we could talk specifically with you. And then lastly, or next, I should say, maybe not last, can one of the teachers move, can one of the teachers move between 2 cohorts if it is documented? Melina?
Yes, they definitely can. But again, that documentation is extremely important, especially if there is a case where you do have a positive, somebody does test positive for COVID-19. So keeping those records up to date on a daily basis is extremely important.
Okay. I think that might be it. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And we will, like I say, we're always at the other end of that email. We're not as rapid, maybe, these days as we want to be because we are getting lots of contacts and some of them take a little research, but we are, and we will be, as I said, scheduling other calls along the way. If any of you are working with your site liaisons, public school, public health safety liaisons, please keep in mind that that work is going on and that there are trainings there as well. We've got a call today at 3 o'clock with our public health leader, Dr. Santora, who will be giving us an update and providing further guidance and instruction to those that are serving in that really important role of liaisons. So thank you all very much, and we will look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.